Well, hello there, and welcome back to World of Warships. But I guess this is more like World of Starships. So this isn't World of Warships. This is a game I played recently on the I guess space map in the Galaxy, which, as far as I can tell, is basically the Des Moines American cruiser, the Tier 10 American cruiser, just with lots of rockets and weird-looking guns and things like that. And it seems to be the case with all the rank 30 spaceships. They all seem to be Tier 10s that they slapped some boosters onto. But this is a game I played very recently, and I wanted to show it because it was a lot of fun to play. But what do you need to know about the Galaxy / Des Moines? It has three triple mounted 203mm guns. They can manage 10 rounds a minute, and just generally, as you can see right here, just keep shells flying. The Des Moines doesn't have torpedoes, but it does have a tremendous rate of fire, and these guns can just keep firing all day long and bombarding enemy positions. Well, boats, not positions. As this battle sort of starts off, something to immediately note is that the Yamatos on both of our teams can actually basically hit each other from spawn to spawn. So I'm trying to make it maybe a little bit more difficult. I want to sit behind some of our bigger ships, and I also don't want to be going full speed. And the reason for that is I find that most people assume you're going full speed. So a lot of times the shells will actually miss far in front of you because they've led you too much. Now, if shells start hitting close to me, I'll obviously speed up and make it more difficult, but this cruiser doesn't seem like it wants to live. So myself and about 90% of the team are just pounding this guy. I'm using AP shells because I'm not quite sure right here. I've found that I prefer the AP shells over the HE shells, even though the HE shells have a tendency to damage components and things like that. My big preference with AP is that it just does so much damage that a lot of times it's just a more efficient way of killing them. But HE is certainly a good option, and in this situation, HE probably would have been the better choice simply because he was facing me and it was difficult to actually hit and penetrate his side, or his sort of front armor. But as it stands, we've destroyed that cruiser. There's another cruiser sneaking along the B rock, I guess, in the middle of the map. It's kind of sneaking along there, and it's in my best interest now to sort of move up and try and engage some of these destroyers, keep them from launching torpedoes and things like that. But that cruiser is soon... Oh, there he is. I'm going to need to put some shots into him. Now that's the Japanese version of the cruiser. I forgot what it's called. The Zaya, I think. And it does have... Oh, it did have lots of torpedoes on it. Doesn't anymore. Or at least they're in the middle of space somewhere now. Now the next closest threat is a destroyer. And I'm concerned about these destroyers because torpedoes are going to be... I always prioritize destroyers. But a lot of times I just can't hit them, and that battleship seems to be just chilling, so I launch a salvo at him. But this destroyer would be very nice if we could knock him out, because it's very likely he's already launched torpedoes in this direction if he had them loaded. And I'm pretty sure whenever a destroyer side onto you, you should really consider the fact that they've already put torpedoes in the water, and you're going to have to evade very soon. So I'm keeping that in mind. That we got him. That's nice. Now another destroyer. This guy certainly... Well, I mean, he's not shooting at me, so maybe... That was very poorly aimed shots. I mean, maybe he's not paying that much attention to me. Oh, there's some torpedoes. I wonder who fired those. But thankfully we're able to dodge them. Now there are 2 carriers on each team. And these are Tier 10 carriers, or Tier 30 carriers rather. So they have lots and lots of planes, lots of bombers, lots of torpedo bombers, and so eliminating the carriers would be very, very profitable for us. The I found that it seems at tier 10 or tier 30, I guess. It seems that aircraft carriers are probably one of the more dangerous foes. Oh, I'm gonna take one torpedo hit, and that was a player shot torpedo. Considering how much damage I took, it was definitely that destroyer. It seems to me that battleships, they're not a tremendous problem, at least in this tier 30 world space, I guess. It seems that the battleships, their guns turn too slowly, they take too long to load, they're too inaccurate. It seems like cruisers do a vast majority of the damage, and carriers just harass enemy battleships, sink enemy battleships, and it's just not good to be a battleship driver, I feel like. Also, my anti-aircraft armament is pretty significant, so I'm actually able to defend myself against planes, or at least have a go at shooting them all down. Oh, and here comes another spread of torpedoes. Now, the disadvantage of carrier-borne torpedo bombers is these torpedoes are not very fast. I'm turning to kind of split the gap there, and there's a battleship coming along who's actually going to pass by me. So keeping that in mind, I'm trying to make it obvious what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to stay in between these two torpedoes. And I believe that that guy recognized and is actually doing the same thing, going the other direction. Because very soon we're going to pass each other. And there he is. And you can see that I basically almost outran those torpedoes. They were gaining on me, but they certainly weren't going to get to me. I'm going to launch my scout plane again, even though he's not tremendously useful right here, but might as well. Now, in this situation, I'm not sure which shell I should have been firing. I'm firing AP because it is a battleship. I believe it's a battleship. Yeah, that's a battleship. And AP against battleships is a really, really good idea, because if you do penetrate their side, it's going to cause tons and tons of damage, and that's how you really have to knock out or sink a battleship, is by penetrating their side and hitting their magazines and their citadel and things like that. So that's the goal, but however, at this range, the shells are just kind of landing on top of him, and it might be better to fire HE and break his turrets and things like that, and just kind of whittle him down like that. But he is burning profusely, so he clearly has already used his repair kit or repair crews and can't repair anymore. So I continue firing AP just because he's already on fire. He's not on fire now, so it might have been a decent decision to switch, but I don't, so whatever. But as the battle stands, we're actually behind on tickets, and the scores are fairly even. I think we have one more ship than they do. But on this flank, we've won pretty handily. This battleship is isolated, and he's going to start taking some real punishment here. We have a cruiser up to the north. We have the battleship. I believe that battleship got sunk, which is sad. And we have a destroyer off to my right. And we also have carrier-borne aircraft above, who are causing some problems. And there we go. He's been sunk. Now this cruiser is in a very powerful position. I'm at maybe 2/3 health, 60% or so. Now down to a little less than that. I don't know what his health status is, but it's probably a little bit better than mine. And we are both firing AP at each other, just based on how much damage I took. Ooh, that wasn't good. That was hit my one of my main turrets. And, wow. So I had 3 hits, 3 citadel penetrations, 1 crit, and it did 16,000 damage and knocked him out. That's unfortunate for him. But I guess that's why I kind of almost default to AP ammunition, is that you have so many, there's a lot of those type of situations. And he did launch a spread of torpedoes, but I'm going to outrun them fairly easily. It's just, there's a lot of instances where your AP salvo, let's say you had 8 shells land on the target. Maybe 6 of them penetrate the citadel, do 40,000 damage, basically sink the ship, if not sink the ship. If they survive the hit, they're likely so heavily damaged that your next salvo is going to destroy them. And I've done that a few times in the Atlanta American premium cruiser, where the guns fire so fast that shells are just on their way so often that hitting and penetrating the Citadel is almost a death sentence for the enemy ship. I mean, it normally is, but if I don't have to adjust my fire, so many shells are hitting the target that the next salvo is likely to as well. Are likely to penetrate the Citadel as well. Which, I mean, 2 salvos penetrating the Citadel, I think, basically destroys any ship in the game. I don't even think the Yamato being penetrated with 2 consecutive salvos like that could stay afloat. It might. Obviously, I've never fought, well, I haven't fought a Yamato in the standard, not tier 30. But, I mean, in my opinion, this is very similar to what tier 10 ships will be like. But here's another battleship, another Yamato. And it seems like he's fully engaged with the cruiser who just got sunk. And we managed to penetrate his Citadel with 2 shells and destroy him. Now for the carriers. The team list as they stand is 1 battleship, well for us, is 1 battleship, 2 cruisers, and 2 carriers. The enemy have 1 destroyer, 1 cruiser, and 2 carriers, rather. In my opinion, that's, well, now we're down to 1 cruiser, 1 battleship, and 2 carriers. So it's basically even. The destroyer is my biggest concern, because that destroyer could very easily sink our battleship, very easily sink our carriers if he gets close enough. Actually, he doesn't even really have to get close. A torpedo range enough will probably do it. Now, at this point, I have switched to HE, because part of my plan was to keep the carrier's aircraft out of the sky, or make it so they can't land at least, because the runway or the landing strip on the carrier won't operate when it's on fire. So firing HE at him is a pretty decent way to ensure that he can't keep aircraft in the air. You know, I want his aircraft, if they're already in the air, I want them to drop their bombs, do whatever, but not be able to rearm. So we got to set the flight deck on fire. Now, I got set on fire by the first round of bombs, and I did use my repair kit, which is unfortunate. You can see my crew trying to defend against the swarm of enemy planes above. But the second... Oh, torpedoes. Dodge it. Attaboy. The second round of bombers also sets me on fire, so I probably should have waited until all the bombers had dropped, because now I have to wait a minute of just slowly burning before I can put this fire out, if it doesn't or go out on its own. And it doesn't look like it's going to. But now, like I said before, my goal is to keep these carriers burning. The enemy cruiser was actually just sunk, and the enemy destroyer was sunk previous to that. So it's basically just these 2 carriers, but these 2 carriers can still win the game. I mean, it's 3 on 2. 1 carrier, 1 battleship, and 1 cruiser versus 2 carriers. I would pick our side, but I'm not going to like it, because it's just going to be very difficult to overcome just the swarm of aircraft that are going to be coming our way. Now, there are going to be torpedoes in the water, and there they are. So we're going to have to move this old boat, and this burning boat, and get out of the way of these torpedoes, because one of those torpedo hits is likely to sink me. We're able to dodge the first salvo. Now, this carrier is on fire, so I really should be shooting at the other one. The other one's a little farther away, and I almost, at this point, I was just trying to sink these guys. There we go, there's some more fire. And finally, my repair kits came up, and I was able to put out my own fire. But I'm on very low health. If his dive bombers get back in the air, they could sink me. Or his torpedo bombers certainly can sink me with 1 decent spread of torpedoes. Really only have to hit me once. I also don't really want to close to secondary gun range, because it is conceivable that his secondary guns could sink me because of how little health I have. But the carrier on the right is burning away, so his planes won't be able to land. This carrier, though, is not burning, and we need him to start burning. And boom, the other carrier just sank, which is good. So now it's a 3-on-1. We're going to win. We've actually taken control of the tickets at this point. And this game, most of this game, we were behind in tickets. There we go, set him on fire, but looks like he managed to get his planes off, which is going to be an issue for me. But now I just need to keep pounding away at his ship. Because the only way I'm going to survive here is if I sink him. Or, I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure we're going to win. We have 3 ships to 1. We have a carrier battleship, and a cruiser versus a carrier. And look at all these planes. Holy cow. There's a bunch of them. But he's on fire. He's burning. These planes are only going to get this one go at me. They're not going to get to have a go at my teammates, so that's a win. And I do see them kind of lining up, but I also don't want to take my guns off this carrier. Oh, we're going to have to dodge some stuff. Ooh, that was close. We did dodge that one. That was good. I need to quickly get the guns back on that carrier. You can see my AAA just lighting up these planes. I've shot down a fair few planes. I'm going to try and keep... Oh, torpedoes incoming. Those are going to hit. Those are going to hit. And he sunk. Take that. Oh, wow. It was an intense game. It was a lot of fun, though. I mean, 422,000 credits, 8,000 XP. It was doubled, so there you go. But 3,500 base, and around 222,300 damage done. It's a lot of damage. But I hope you enjoyed that replay. Easily one of my favorite games I've ever played in World of Warships. And I'm glad it was in the space event, because it's space, right? But anyway, thanks for watching. I've been Corny Swiss. I'll see you next time.